Here we have lesson 6-4 Reteaching. The objective for this lesson is to multiply a whole number by a decimal using models. Here we are asked to find the product of 35 hundredths times 3. So we're going to use these decimal grids down below and repeated addition to use models to solve this problem. So if I'm going to show 35 hundredths on these decimal squares, each of these boxes, these smaller boxes, represents 1/100th. So the whole large box is going to be equal to 1 whole. So to find 35 hundredths, or to show 35 hundredths, I'm going to color in 35 of the small squares. So that in each of these rows is 10 squares. So I'm going to color in 3 full rows, and then just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra squares after that. That shows me 35 hundredths one time. We need to find 35 hundredths 3 times. So here we have shown what we found on the last slide, was when we found 35 hundredths times 1. Now we're going to find 35 hundredths times 2. So just like the first time, I colored in 35 small boxes, or little squares. So I'm going to do the same thing here because I'm using repeated addition. So I have 5, 15, 25, 35. And this gives me 35 times 2. So we're almost there because we need to find 35 hundredths times 3. So we're almost there. Just like we've done on the previous slides, we're going to add once more. We are going to add 35 hundredths to what we've got so far. So once again, I'm just going to color in 35 squares. Here I have 30, and I kind of ran out of space, so I'm going to go over to the second square and color in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this gives me 35 hundredths times 3. This is going to show me my final product when I add up all those squares and see what I've got. Here we have a representation of our final product once we've colored in the 35 hundredths 3 times, and you can see that represented by the 3 different colors, the blue, the green, and the yellow. Notice that this box over on the left, every single one of the small squares is colored in. That means 100 out of 100 boxes are colored in. This is going to give me 1 whole. And you can see that represented up in our product up top. That 1 to the left of the decimal is telling me I have 1 whole square colored in. Now I have on the right hand side, I just have these 5 little boxes left over. And this is like 5 out of 100 boxes. So 5 hundredths. We want to make sure that we don't write it as 5 tenths. We need to have our placeholder 0 there, because 5 tenths would be like if I had half of this box colored in, and I don't. I just have 5 small boxes colored in. Now let's double check our answer by using the standard algorithm. So when we're multiplying decimals, we're going to leave out the decimal point first and find our product, and then go back and look at the decimals and where it should be in our answer. So when we do 3 times 5, we get 15. Carry our 1 over. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 up top is 10. So our product for 35 times 3 is 105. But our actual problem had a decimal point in it right before the 3 in 35. So this gives us 2 decimal places that we are multiplying by. So we need to take our decimal from the end of the whole number and move it over 2 places. So this is going to give us 1 and 5 hundredths, just like we found by using our models. So we were on the right track. Models can also be used to show multiplication of 2 decimals. In this instance, we're finding 0.6, or 6 tenths, times 1 6 tenths. So in our model down below, each of these columns is representing the 6 tenths, because 6 of the 10 squares are filled in. Up top we have this number, we have the 6 tenths repeated 1 6 tenths times. So we're repeating this 6 tenths that we have over here, and we're repeating it 1.6 times. So this is showing how many what our total product is going to be. So if we add up all of these squares, it's going to be kind of tricky because there's not a whole square filled in. But if we add these all up, we have a group of 6 times 10 right here. So that's going to get us 60 squares. And then we have a group of 6 times 6 over here. So what we have in our two pictures is we have 0.6 plus 0.36. So when we line our decimals up, that's going to get, it's like saying 0.60. So 60 plus 36 is going to get us 96, and we need to make sure we have our decimal point in there. So now we're going to check our answer using the standard algorithm. Again, we're just going to ignore the decimal points until we find our final product, and then we'll take a look at where we need to put our final decimal point. So we have 6 times 6 is going to be 36. Carry my 3 over. I have 1 times 6 is 6, plus the 3 up top is 9. So now let's take a look at our decimal points. In the 16, it needs to be placed between the 1 and 6, so it's actually 1 and 6/10. And then in the 6, it's placed right before the 6, so it should actually be 6/10. So in our final answer, we're going to take our decimal point, which was at the end because we found a whole number, and we're going to move it over 2 places because we have 1 place here and 1 place here. So our final product using the standard algorithm is also going to be 9600. So once again, we were correct.